And I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Angola.
Madam President, Excellencies, Angola aligns itself with the statement delivered by Guinea-Bissau, Iraq, and Uganda, respectively on behalf of the African Group, the Non-Aligned Movement, and G77 plus China. We welcome the presence of His Excellency Mr. Bruno Eduardo Rodrigues Parilla, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Cuba. We thank the Secretary General for his report and strongly support his efforts to lift the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States against Cuba. Excellencies, the United States embargo on Cuba is one of the most burning diplomatic issues today that needs to be resolved in line with the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The UN Secretary General report draws an unequivocal conclusion. The continuation of the United States economic, financial, and commercial embargo against Cuba and its unfair inclusion in the list of states that sponsor terrorism is incompatible with the international system grounded in the rule of law. Angola has consistently supported the international call for the unconditional removal of the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed on Cuba. Madam President, at the 2024 Summit of the Future, the international community came together to address common challenges, from tackling the climate crisis to reducing inequality and creating lasting peace. We adopted the Pact for the Future to ensure that no one is left behind in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and enhance global cooperation. As we celebrate 8 decades of the creation of the United Nations to promote peace, human rights, and sustainable development worldwide, our credibility as international community is being challenged more than ever by the overwhelming adoption of a resolution calling for the end of the U.S. embargo against Cuba since 1992, but without practical results. However, the embargo is causing significant social and economic harm to the people of Cuba and has severe implications for the country's ability to achieve SDGs by undermining poverty reduction and increasing shortage of basic goods, SDG 1, no poverty, causing shortage of medicines and medical equipment, as well as fuel for power plants to sustain economic growth and social stability, SDG 3, good health and well-being, compromising educational programs and professional development, SDG 4, quality education, restricting economic activity, limiting growth, job creation, access to international finance, as well as trade and industry, SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, and SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, affecting vulnerable populations by limiting their access to essential services and resources, SDG 10, reduce inequalities, and make increasingly difficult for international organizations, business and individuals to engage in legal transactions and partnerships with Cuba, SDG 17, partnership for the goals. International disputes and disagreements need to be resolved through negotiations based on principles of justice and equity. We call on the United States and Cuba to renew their diplomatic efforts to end this long-standing issue through an open and constructive dialogue to reach a comprehensive, durable political agreement aiming at promoting a mutually beneficial bilateral cooperation. Madam President, we express our profound appreciation for Cuba's traditional commitment to international cooperation. Thousands of Cuban medical professionals have contributed to saving lives and strengthening public health systems across Africa and the developing world. This spirit of solidarity exemplifies the value of our international solidarity and the strategic significance of the South-South cooperation. Angola reaffirms its commitment to continue supporting all initiatives and relevant United Nations resolutions to end embargo against Cuba based on respect for and compliance with the purpose and the principle outlined in the United Nations Charter, as well as states' obligations and international law. Finally, we urge all delegations to strongly support the draft resolution submitted by the Cuban delegation under Agenda Item 38, entitled Necessity of Ending the Economic, Commercial, and Financial Embargo Imposed by the United States of America against Cuba. I thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Angola.